Hi, welcome back. Today we're going to make a tofu tikka masala. It's a vegan recipe. It can be served with rotis, parathas, and even rice. It's very vegetarian friendly and it's very high in protein, so it'll keep you full throughout the whole day. So let's get started. So here I'm using an 80-gram extra firm tofu that I bought from Costco. It has to be extra firm to ensure that it doesn't kind of melt in the dish that we're doing. So we're just going to dice it into cubes. And then we're going to marinate it and let it sit at least a minimum of 30 minutes, but 40 minutes, like up to 2 hours would be ideal, but it's not necessary. It's just when you marinate things longer, it absorbs the taste a lot more better. I'm gonna cut these. So this is roughly the pieces, but I'm gonna cut them in half. So our slices are roughly that big, which is a good amount of a square, rectangle. Okay, so we're gonna start marinating this. I'm using roughly a tablespoon of ginger, a teaspoon of salt, but you can add salt to your liking. I'm using the Himalayan pink salt. So I'm using turmeric. I already have it in my bottle. It's roughly half a teaspoon of turmeric. I'm also using a teaspoon of asafoetida. It's supposed to give you like a texture to hold or bind things. If you can't find this, you can definitely omit this. It's not the end of the world. Also a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. The last ingredient we're adding to this is I'm using the BioBest probiotic yogurt, but roughly 2 tablespoons of that to also help with the marinating. And then just use a spoon or hands, whatever your comfortability is, and then mix well. And then we're gonna let this sit for roughly 30 minutes to up to 2 hours. So you can really prep this well in advance before you start cooking. So we'll let the tofu marinate, and in the meantime, I already prepped the onions, which is about 3 cups of onions. And I also diced 3 cups of tomatoes. And we're doing 1 cup of cashews, which I let it sit in hot water just to make it more soft when we're gonna puree this together. So let's do that while it's marinating. So we're gonna add 1 cup of water to our blender, our tomatoes, our onions, and discard the liquid, but just add in the cashews. So for the cashews, I let them sit about just like 10 minutes in hot water and it will soften up just well. I use a Vitamix, but any blender will work. We're gonna use the smoothie button on my Vitamix. It's roughly about 50 seconds, but 1 minute on high speed should be sufficient. Just gonna take the puree out, set it aside. It's a medium consistency. It's not too liquidy and it's not too thick. So first we're gonna slightly fry the tofu. I'm roughly adding about 3 tablespoons of ghee. Let it melt. We're gonna do this on low to medium heat. Just want it slightly cooked. Don't worry about it being too much oil. We can reuse this oil again when we do the masala. Tofu is high in protein, so it's really good for vegetarians, vegans. You can definitely use less oil if that's bearable, so maybe around 2 teaspoons, but I put 3. Once it starts to get slightly light golden, let's flip it. About a minute and a half on each side. We're also going to cook it with the curry. It doesn't have to be overly cooked. I'm going to start taking them out. Just going to add in the remainder of the oil in here. And on medium heat, we're using 2 bay leaves, 6 cardamoms, and a small cinnamon stick for flavoring. Also, let's add in a teaspoon of ginger. Slightly fry it so the ginger smells goes away. The ginger is almost done. So once the ginger is done cooking, we're gonna add in our puree. And we need to let this simmer. We're also going to add in right now our garam masala powder. So we're gonna add in about 3 tablespoons of garam masala. Also gonna add a half a teaspoon of turmeric. We want the onion and tomato freshness, the pungent smell to go away, and we just want the base to simmer down before we add in our tofu. So we're gonna cook this actually on medium to high heat, and we're gonna close the lid because it's gonna splatter if I don't. So now let's open it up. Liquid and the oil should be separating, so we're at a good space. Just make sure it's not sticking, and let's lower it. I'm using roughly a little bit more than a teaspoon. If you like a more flavored or more spicier, just add more garam masala. Now let's let it close and cook a little bit more on low heat. So I'm adding a 1 teaspoon of curry powder. Paprika powder will do if you don't have. Just let that mix well. Put in our tofu to blend in with our curry. Let's close and let it simmer. So this is a really good base if you want a roti, but if you want more protein or tofu to have a more of a denser curry, just be more than willing to add in another 80 grams of tofu, which is what I started out with. But if you want a more gravier kind of a curry, this is perfect. So once we're done cooking, we're just gonna add in some fresh coriander. Just gonna chop it in. Just give it that nice flavor. I'm using right from my garden, so it's very pungent. But if you are using store-bought, you might need to add in a little bit more. I always find like homegrown are a lot more pungent in flavor than the store-bought one. And we're all done. Please like, comment down below which recipes you guys want to see next, or even sorry videos, and please subscribe as well. Thanks for watching.